Ladies and gentlemen, in my hurry to commence my video series on poetry, I forgot to pick some very important books. And as I said, there are still some hanging around, and in future I'll be able to review them for you. But I managed to get two more, which I think are very important, which should not be left out of this review. One is Keep My Words, which is a classic, really, Luo oral literature. And this was done by B. Onyango Gutu and A. Rossio. That second name is a bit difficult to pronounce. Now, this is a classic, no doubt about it, in teaching literature in this country, and I suppose elsewhere. And so it's one of those that I'll want to just look at briefly. But I also think that it's important to bring in mashairi, that is Kiswahili for poems. And so Sikate Tamaa is a book by Said Muhammad, which I think I have also reviewed here once when I was looking at Kiswahili books in my collection. But it's important, and I will be reading one of the poems from Sikate Tamaa. Now, scholars like Ngugi wa Thiong'o have underscored the importance of art, the importance of creative writing in decolonizing the mind, and particularly so for societies that have been colonized or have gone through a history of colonization. That artistic works, creative writing, including poetry, are extremely important in the process of decolonizing the mind. Now, what I'll do with this second video in the series, which I just started a while ago, is to look at one of my poems again on Africa. As I said in my first video, I've written a number of poems on Africa. And if you follow my story on Facebook, the story of my life history, leadership in civil society here in Kenya, you'll find that I've dedicated a whole chapter to my creative writing. It's a story about the stories I never wrote, but it's also a story of what I managed to do, particularly in terms of the few poems that I've been able to write. And as the poems in which I've included in that chapter are mostly about Africa, and I'm a student of international global economy, and so issues to do with Africa and her colonial past and so on are things that are very dear to me. So I'll read this poem first, and then I'll come back then to look at the other books in this collection. Now, this is Poem for Africa, that is the title, and it goes like this. Look at Africa, take a close look. See what they did to her? They trampled her all over and took turns to rape her. Africa, now your fruits have gone sour. Your children die of hunger, while the rapists tour to further provoke your anger. Look at Africa, take a close look. See what they did to her? One hand on the whip, and to claim our souls the holy book, stung her behind like a wasp, words of wisdom to civilize the crook. Oh, you, the cradle of mankind, Upon your innocence they preyed. Their offal on your beauty they sprayed. Why is the devil so unkind? Look at Africa. Take a close look. See what they did to her. Do you remember Captain Lugard? Do you ever think of the living stone that rolled on your lands, your riches to scatter like stone? Oh, how they tied your hands, beat you senseless. In the name of civilization, look at Africa, take a close look. See what they did to her. Then they suddenly left. A sigh of relief. Your ordeal over. Well, so you thought, but you are trapped forever and ever. The sly devils, they manufacture war. Minds that flatten your lovely hills, kill your sons, rape your daughters, make war. Look at Africa. Take a close look. See what they did to her. So that is my poem, and I'm glad that I've been able to read that for you. Now back to the poems from East Africa. So because I want to make sure that I balance my reading of these works. There are some poems that are extremely important here. And so what I will do is to pick one of them and see how it fits into my theme for reviewing this. But I'll leave the judgment to you. David Gill, Swamp. That is in Poems from East Africa. Dry season dust tails dogged the cars along. The orange tracks when we began to curb the croaking swamp. Stripped schoolboys hacked the ankles of the giant reeds, a song. Rose somewhere as the rippling line advanced, disgruntled mostly, sweeping with Birmingham bush knives and curling sickles. Few really grasp the idea that civilized man will not endure a swamp. Still seeing little sense in what they did, they burnt the grass and dug some crooked drains. White blooms of smoke grew huge above the swamp. At dusk and exiled, all the frogs' refrains. Rough places smooth, oh make, use hand and hoe. Control the lie of land and guide the flow of rain. Be conquerors subduing all, my own philosophy runs roughly so. We clear the thistles and the reeds, we dug our ditches deep. Then came the spearing rain, and now the fatalist can make and say, look, sir, the grasses have grown tall again. All right, so this is from Poems from East Africa. And we will get time to read more of these poems. Now, what I really needed to read for you is Sikate Tamaa. This is a Kiswahili poem, so I'll try and read it a bit fast. Sikate tamaa. Umeanguka, inuka, simama kama mnazi. Umechunika, inuka, tia dawa kwa ujuzi. Sasa inuka, inuka, kijana ianze kazi. Sikate tamaa. Usife tamaa, nyanyuka, ni muweza wa kutenda. Kuna hadaa, nyanyuka, anza tena kujipinda. Dunia baa, nyanyuka, anza tena kujiunda. Sikate tamaa. Sivunjwe moyo dunia, hivyo itakunyanyasa. Futa kilio dunia, hiyo ithibiti sasa. Ipe kamio dunia, kamwe siache kufusa, sikate tamaa. Una nguvu, simama, wewe upambane nao. Una werevu, simama, uzepuke njama zao. Usiche kovu, simama, ujifunze vumilio, sikate tamaa. Ladies and gentlemen, as usual, there is no life without books. Thank you for listening to me.